They were innocent, convicted of horrible crimes. Before we start, I had a secret question in this video. If you can find it, answer it down below. Kimberly Long. Imagine coming home to see your partner dead. And when you call the police to tell them, they blame you instead. Yeah, they make you a suspect. That's what happened to Kimberly. In 2013, she arrived home and discovered her boyfriend bludgeoned to death in their living room. She immediately called 911. And then the police blamed her for the crime. She pleaded to them saying, "It wasn't me." They did not want to believe her at all, even stating that they had a witness putting her at the crime scene. The case went to California, and the jury gave her a guilty verdict. 11 years she spent in jail. The justice system found that their star witness testimonies were unreliable, and thanks to forensic pathology evidence, the corrections system released her. After that wrongful conviction, Kimberly lost her partner and a decade of her life from this. She sued the Corona, California police and won her multi-million-dollar jury verdict.
Are you going to tell me good news?
And we're telling you great news. We won.
Juan Rivera. Now this is just messed up. On August 17th, 1992, 11-year-old babysitter Holly Stacker was strangled to death. She was also stabbed 30 times. She was babysitting 2 kids at their home in Illinois at the time. During the investigation, police confronted 19-year-old Juan Rivera, a teen with a history of mental illness. He was at a party nearby and saw a suspicious man near the home, but police did not take his word for it and chose to blame him instead. They interrogated Juan. They browbeat him, causing him enough psychological stress to admit to a crime he didn't do. The DNA evidence they had was linking another person to this crime, but Rivera was still found guilty until he was exonerated 20 years later in 2012, after it was found that there was no evidence linking him to the crime. None of the fingerprints found in the home were matched to Juan. And get this, he was wearing an electric monitor from a prior conviction, and it proved his location was at his home the night of the crime. Yeah, he didn't even leave his house the day of the murder. Juan sued the city and was awarded $20 million. The Central Park 5. The Central Park 5 jogger case is horrible. It was the conviction of 5 black men with underprivileged backgrounds. They were accused of attacking and essaying a white woman who was jogging in the New York City Central Park. This crime became huge and was put on every headline. And even with lack of evidence, the judicial system had to blame somebody and hold somebody accountable. Scared at times and threatened when investigated, most of the boys confessed to it. One young man even stating that he never spoke to his father after his father said that he should confess to it because police could help him and give him a lighter sentence, even though he had told his dad he was innocent. Ultimately, it turned into a wrongful conviction case, but the boys had already served many years in jail. You see, someone had came and confessed to the crime years later. The men had went through traumatic abuse, suffering, and sad ordeals while in prison. Truly heartbreaking. Clarence Lee Brandley. On August 23rd, 1980, 16-year-old student Cheryl D. Ferguson was murdered in a loft above the auditorium in her high school during a volleyball game. This happened in Conroe, Texas, and 2 custodians were being blamed as the prime suspects of the case. A Caucasian man named Henry Peace and an African-American man named Clarence Lee Brandley. During the investigation of the 2, Wesley Stiles, a Texas Ranger, claimed that one of them would hang, and he chose Brandley solely off the color of his skin. Brandley pleaded that he was innocent and that he had nothing to do with it. But apparently all the evidence that would prove that he was innocent was either lost or stolen. Not only that, but his polygraph test was fixed, and anyone who claimed his innocence was blackmailed. Then he was given a death penalty. But luckily, a white man named James Dexter Robinson admitted to the crime. The judge spared Brandley's life and released him in the 1990s, stating that this case was shockingly racially prejudiced. Troy Anthony Davis. Sadly, his story didn't have a good ending. Troy Anthony Davis was accused of killing a police officer and was charged and was sentenced to execution, despite there being any evidence. In the months before the execution, people from all around the country begged Georgia to please reconsider. Not only that, but 7 out of the 9 witnesses recanted their testimonies. Despite the NAACP, the Innocence Project, and Amnesty International all claiming his innocence, the state moved on with the execution. Davis asked one message to be shared before having his life taken. The message to the world was, the struggle for justice doesn't end with me. This struggle is for all the Troy Davises who came before me and all the ones who will come after me. He was then executed on September 21st, 2011 with lethal injection. Check this video I did on the world's dumbest lottery winners. Yeah, they went from broke to rich to broke again. Some of these are ridiculous.